Happy Friday. I trust you're doing well. Welcome to Newsfeed this afternoon. I'm Flora Limuki. Here is our top story. President William Ruto has given a new order to its ICTCS Eliud Owalo number project launched by his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta. While addressing a delegation at Data Protection Conference in Nairobi, Ruto ordered government agencies to actualize the Huduma number within the next 12 months. In particular, the head of state asked Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo to put in place systems and structures that will ensure that Huduma number project is a success.
To our commitment that in the next 6 months, we will have 5,000 government services available on the digital space. Already, just to put it in context, we had 300 government services as of 2 weeks ago. We have increased that to 600. We have doubled in the last 2 weeks. We now have 600 government services available online, and we are well on course in ensuring that we have 5,000 government services in the next 6 months. And I've also asked the Ministry of ICT to also work on a digital identity so that the big Huduma thing that never was, we can finally have as Kenya a digital identity. And I have told my good friend Eliud that by the end of this year, Kenyans must be able to identify themselves digitally. It is not the work of government to issue IDs. It is the work of government to identify Kenyans. Over the next 5 years, we shall construct another 100,000 kilometers of national fiber optic network to achieve universal broadband connectivity in the country. We want to enhance government services delivery by digitizing and, wherever possible, automating critical processes, and by migrating 80% of services online, as I have said. And we are developing the digital master plan and establishing a regional hub to promote the large-scale development of software for export. We expect the digital superhighway to play a tremendous role as a fully fledged productive sector on its own and an enabling infrastructure for the universal health coverage, agriculture, MSME, and manufacturing pillars of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda for the transformation of our country. And just to state that we already have registered 5 million farmers who will participate this year in our subsidized fertilizer that will be available.
Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jomwa was committed to strengthening strategic partnerships to leverage opportunities in public and private sectors, both locally and internationally, for graduates of the NYS. Speaking during her maiden visit to the National Youth Service headquarters in Ruaraka, Jomwa also expressed the need to organize a decent exit to the youth who complete their training at the service, while at the same time calling on the government to give priority to graduates of NYS during recruitment into the police and the army. The NYS is now domiciled under the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action after a brief stay in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Tutashauriana na wale wenzangu ambao ni wahusika wakuu so that tuwe na decent exit wakati hawa vijana wetu wamemaliza. We will develop a policy ya kwamba hawa vijana wakitoka tayari tumeidentify wanaenda wapi kufanya kazi. Hawatarudi tena mitaani kwenda kuhangaika as we retain the data here. But hawa vijana wakirudi kule, kwanza nilikuwa nataka kuambia mwenzangu Kidiki kwamba hawa watu wamepitia paramilitary training. So tukiwaachilia mitaani is a threat, security threat. Wakati kama recruitment inafanya, priority inapewana kwa National Youth Service.
Well, now into some matters education, Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu has dispelled claims that there was any cheating in the 2022 KCSE exams announced last week Friday. This comes amid uproar from leaders and Kenyans on social media who alleged that there was cheating in secondary schools and mostly in Kisii County. However, the CS has noted that there is no major change in the performance in 2022 compared to the last 2 years that warrants the social media outcry. He also laid bare the number of A's garnered by various national schools in the country, further noting that the Ministry of Education set up ICT systems and beefed up security to ensure there was no cheating.
And those examiners, because each and every center, each and every small center, a center, if we have, for example, 1,000 examiners, every 30 we have a chief examiner. What is the role of a chief examiner? And you have taken an oath. You have signed a contract, a form, that indeed if there's anything irregular, you will be able to report to the chief examiner at that particular room, and then there is somebody now covering the entire center out of the 35 centers we have. Why? And they have their forms. For heaven's sake, why didn't anybody fill the form to say, Bwana CS, me as I'm marking this exam for this school, I've noticed 1, 2, 3. And then now people come, probably they are not examiners, they say, I marked that exam, there was this and that. And yet, that opportunity is provided for, and the opportunity provided for, that particular examiner never came forward to say anything.
Kakamega Governor Fernandez Barasa, who is also the Council of Governors Finance Committee chairperson, has urged national government to release 425 billion shillings in the next financial year as equitable share. Barasa said 380 billion proposed will not be enough to sustain the running of devolved functions. Speaking in Makunga Hospital during the handover of drugs worth 7 million shillings in the facility, Barasa also announced that 130 million worth of drugs have been procured to be distributed in all health facilities in the county.
Billion Kenya shillings in the next financial year as equitable share to the counties. We cannot accept hiyo pesa ambayo imekuwa proposed of 380 billion because it's just a shadow. Kusema umeongeza 10 billion shillings only to 47 counties, that one as governors we are saying a total no. So we have to go back to the drawing board so that we have discussions and conversations ya kuhakikisha counties zinapata pesa ambazo zinaweza kufanya maendeleo and all the devolved functions zifanywe kwa counties. Lastly, functions ambazo ziko devolved, we don't want the national government to continue allocating money kwa hizo functions in the national government. Mambo ya barabara, mambo ya afya, issues around agriculture, fisheries, ECD, those are devolved functions. We want funds to follow functions. Leo tumekuja hapa kwa hafla ya muhimu sana to witness delivery of medical drugs and non-farms. In total, we have ordered 130 million worth of medical drugs in the entire county. Na leo hapa tumeleta madawa worth 7 million shillings.
Preparations for the first cohort of the grade 7 junior secondary students are on a high, with the Ministry of Education led by Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu launching the distribution of textbooks for the learners in public schools today at the KICD. This even as CS Mashogu has announced that over 20,000 primary schools have been given the green light to host the junior secondary schools. With the grade 7 learners expected to report to school on Monday, the 30th of January 2023, teachers have been advised to take care of the books as the next distribution of the textbooks will be done after 4 years. This is among the guidelines set by the ministry to guarantee a smooth beginning of the junior secondary.
Regulations that are issued from the ministry were interim. We are coming up with a final one, most likely, because I know parents, educationists, even my own self, I'm concerned, director and the publishers, about the number of running areas. Because when the Presidential Working Party was moving around this country, they took the views of Kenyans, and we are going to follow whatever recommendations that they make to His Excellency the President, which will be any time between now and 2 weeks, when they say the number of subjects, the number of running areas, most likely they might not be 12, they might come with a number that Kenyans said as they were going around each and every county, as they were engaging the various stakeholders, and then from there we will be able to issue a final guideline on that particular area. So I know there are questions about that, and I'm here informing the Kenyans that soon enough we are coming up with a figure as will be guided and provided for by the Presidential Working Party.
The High Court has allowed the scrutiny of 8 polling stations in the Wajir gubernatorial elections held in August last year. In the case, the former NHIF CEO Hassan Mohammed challenging the election of Ahmed Abdullahi, arguing that he was not validly elected as the election was marred by massive irregularities. Justice Dulu has further directed the registrar to preside over the exercise and file a report on or before the 3rd of February.
There shall be scrutiny of counted ballot papers, packets of counterfoils of used ballot papers, packets of rejected ballot papers, polling day diaries, a statement showing the number of rejected ballot papers, and all originals from 32A used in the Wajir governor election held on 9th August 2022. The registrar shall then prepare and file a report on the exercise on or before 3rd February.
Following a string of bizarre incidents from Kisii County, the Media Council of Kenya has organized a debriefing session for the scribes in the area who are forced to come face to face with traumatizing stories. The event was meant to, among other things, help the scribes to reduce stress while in the line of duty.
Today it has been a very faithful day for the journalists from this side, being that there have been bizarre incidences that have been happening in Kisii, people being murdered, some incidents where a child was gouged out his eyes, and journalists have been covering this event where they have been having several mental issues. But as for today, the Media Council just intervened and came onto the rescue and helped us as a journalist and provided a psychosocial may talk with us. Maybe with me, I'll be talking to some of the Media Council leaders who are with us today and tell us what was happening today and what are they planning to help people from the media.
Thank you so much. My name is Dina Ondari. I work at the Media Council of Kenya as the Manager, Press Freedom, Safety and Advocacy. Today we were holding a debriefing or a briefing session with journalists based in Kisii County, having expressed the need to have such a session with the psychosocial expert, which we are going to hear from shortly. And we, as a council, we run a program on safety and protection of journalists, and we have acknowledged the fact that mental health is part of safety of a journalist, and indeed any professional needs to be mentally sound to do their work. And therefore, we have been implementing efforts to ensure that mental health is mainstreamed, whether it is at policy level or at intervention level, so that then journalists who go through disturbing experiences during the line of duty are able to get help. And previously, this is not an area that was covered very well. So today's session is just a second one, because yesterday we had another session with the station managers where we are trying to sensitize them on the need to strengthen their in-house policies to include issues of both physical, digital and mental health in their safety policies, so that then journalists feel that their welfare is well taken care of. And this is all part of our mandate as a council to protect the rights and privileges of journalists, as well as creating a conducive working environment for the media in the country.
Thank you very much. Maybe we get a word from one of the psychologists who was talking to the journalists today.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Rose Otieno, a clinical psychologist from Kisii University, where I'm also a lecturer and a practitioner. I want to thank the Media Council of Kenya for organizing such an important event for journalists, because mental health is very, very important. And journalists are not immune to mental health problems, and especially when they cover events that are traumatic to the people they work with, to the community. And as journalists cover these traumatic events, it's very, very important to bring to the attention of everybody, and especially the employers, that their mental health also matters a lot. Because when people cover traumatic experiences, then they are also likely to experience what we call vicarious trauma. Vicarious trauma comes about when there is indirect impact of a traumatic experience, and therefore it's very, very important that this awareness is brought to the attention of the stakeholders, especially in the media, so that their mental health, the journalists' mental health care is put into consideration. And from this workshop, we have advocated for mainstreaming of mental health services in the media fraternity, so that any services offered to the journalists, mental health services should be part and parcel of the comprehensive care.
Thank you very much. Maybe get one of the journalists who was here, also the chair of the journalist members, and tell us what has this day been to them.
Thank you so much. My name is Joshua Rak. I'm the chairman of the Gusii Scribes. This group it brings together all journalists who are based in Kisii and Nyamira counties. And today we've met here in Kisii town for psychosocial support. This is an idea that is welcome, because it has come at a time when we've been covering bizarre stories, murder, suicide, and the likes in this region. And journalists are human beings. They are affected by these stories in one way or the other. That's why we saw the need to engage stakeholders like the Media Council of Kenya. And the Media Council of Kenya has brought in an expert in this area, and we've been able to discuss. We've shared our experiences, and we've been guided on how we should cope with this challenging and changing landscape of news coverage and reporting.
Thank you very much. As you just heard from the various stakeholders who are just here, and indeed they are very happy of this event of today, because most of them had issues and were not being able to give out because of the bizarre issues that they have been covering and their family issues. But as of today, most of them have been relieved. And according to Media Council, just said that if you have any issue, mental issue, being that mental is very critical, you can just contact them, and they will provide the services for you for free. But even they have urged several media houses to have these facilities or these services in their houses, so that the wellness or the mental wellness of the journalist could be not at stake. Only that I have from my side here from Kisii. Maybe I pass back the mantle to you in studio.
Well, thank you so much, Alfayo Kombo, for that comprehensive report. Moving on, Now, shifting focus to the corridors of justice, a primary school teacher was earlier today arraigned in a Narok court, charged with defiling a 14-year-old pupil and later supplying drugs to her to procure an abortion. The suspect, identified as Douglas Juma, a teacher at the Legacy School, is alleged to have defiled the girl, who is his pupil, on diverse dates between February 20th to December 22nd last year at the school compound. Juma appeared before the Narok resident magistrate Daniel Ngayo, where he pleaded not guilty of the charges, while the state council prosecutor Anthony Karanja opposed the suspect's release on bond, saying he will interfere with the witnesses' statements, most of whom are pupils.
Bond for the accused person and the reply by the accused person, noting the circumstances under which it is alleged that the offence herein was committed. I'm of the view that it would be prudent to suspend the issue of bond at this time and to await the evidence of the victim to be secured.
SMEs and cooperatives, Simon Cheluguya, said that the Hustler Fund plan is being implemented in accordance with the law and is not aimed at undermining NGCDF and GAF, which are facing financial crisis. Speaking in Mombasa while meeting with Council of Governors Committee on cooperatives led by the Bungoma Governor Ken Lusaka, Chelugui said that every financial project that exists is in accordance with the Treasury's budget on its part. Ken Lusaka has said that there is a need to hire cooperative leaders to facilitate investment.
And I also gazetted the board of directors, and it's now properly governed. We are using technology. I know many of those asking that question are still living in the analog age. We used digital